What's up, my people? I'm glad to have you again on this live class, and today we'll be talking. I'm sure that you've. By the way, what is your name? Force is anything that can make a body at rest to start moving. It is also that thing that can make a body that is moving to stop, and it is also that thing that can make a body that is moving to change direction. For instance, I'm just here and somebody pushes me. So there was a force that was applied that made me to move. Remember, I was just standing, I was at rest. Another example, a driver that is on a highway sees a truck approaching and applies his brake. Guess what? The car stopped. So it is a perfect example. Guess what? The car stopped. So it is a perfect exemplification of a body that is in motion, that force caused the body to stop moving. All right. Now, another driver was moving and wanted to make a U-turn, so he changed direction. So the force he applied on the steering immediately redirected the car to another corner. So this is what force can do. All right. Now, what are the types of forces? We have two types of forces: contact forces and non-contact forces. Contact forces and non-contact forces. Contact and non-contact forces. Now, what are contact forces? Contact forces is a type of force that exists between two bodies in contact, two bodies that are touching each other. All right. So there's a force between, when I'm writing, there's a force between my marker and the board. All right. When you are walking, there's a force between your leg and your and the ground. All right. So we have examples of contact forces. We have the push and pull force. For example, when you push somebody, then when you pull, there's contact. Okay. We have the frictional force. Okay, and the one the things we'll be talking about today. All right. Then we have the force in a spring, in a spiral spring, or in a rope. All right. All these things are contact forces. We also have tension force. All right. Now, for no contact forces are those forces, that acts in a field where there is no contact. It just acts in a field, in a space, in a region. So this force has an influence in a particular region or space. Do you get? For example, have you brought a magnet? This is a horseshoe magnet having north, south, and you bring iron filings near it. You see that this magnet will magnetize these iron filings. So what happens is that there is a magnetic force acting in this space or region or this field. So an example of non-contact force or field force is magnetic force. The same thing with electric force, the force. All right. So it is a we have the magnetic force, the electric force, we have the gravitational force, then we also have the electromagnetic force. All right. So they are non-contact forces. So next, we are going to talk about friction. All right. And friction is an example of contact force. Okay. Now, friction is that force that acts between two bodies in contact. Okay. Do you understand to this point? I said that friction is the force that acts between two bodies in contact and tends to oppose the motion between one over the other. All right. Now, whenever there is contact, let's say you are rubbing your two hands together, you can feel the heat, right? So that's the force generated. It's called friction. That force is opposing the motion of this hand over this hand. All right. So that is friction, and it acts between two bodies. And friction is that force that acts over the other. All right. So we have two types of friction. Have you played the ball before? Then the ball rolls and comes to a stop. It was friction that stopped it from moving, because the ground, is rough. The ground is not that smooth, so it stopped it from moving. So every rough surface will actually generate friction. All right. That's why moving parts of machines, we smoothen them to reduce friction. All right. So types of friction. We have two types of friction. We have the static friction and we have the dynamic friction. So static friction is also called limiting friction. Then dynamic friction is also called kinetic or the wheelbarrow is at rest, okay, then I jack it up and push it, okay, I must put in order to make the wheelbarrow to start moving. So that is static friction. Static friction is the friction of a body, the frictional force that is posed by a body that is at rest, okay. The normal reaction, all right, the normal reaction is the reaction of the person that is overcoming the frictional force, that is me, all right. And you can friction, okay. R, then we can say that F is equal to coefficient of static friction. R is equal to mg, all right, mass times acceleration due to gravity, okay. So we can say that this coefficient of static friction is equal to force over mg, or force over R. A. So it is called the coefficient of static friction. So we can define coefficient of static friction as the ratio of force. Okay. Now friction is measured in Newton because it is there is a force that needs to be sustained. Okay, that is called in the world. I'm not hyping myself though. So please subscribe to this channel, I beg you, and share this video to your classmates, to your friends that will be needing this tutorial. I know that this is a very confusing term in physics. That is why I chose this particular topic to talk about it. All right. Now we have talked about the types of friction. Next, we're going to talk about the advantages of friction. Friction has advantages. Okay. First of all, it helps us to write. The reason why you can hold your pen and you can write on your book, I can write on the board, is because of friction. Okay. Then it helps us to climb up a ladder. It is the friction between the ground and the ladder that can help us to climb up. Then